this is Al from Novella Books and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot to me. I would be forever grateful. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Happy Friday. Today we have my November end of the month wrap up. I'll link my mid-month wrap-up, my November mid-month wrap-up, down below in the description. I read 18 books for the second half of November. The first half I read 14, so all in all for the month of November, I read 32 books. The first couple books, I will just say what it's about, my star ratings, because and the tropes, because I did a recent read video. I'll link that video also down below in the description if you want to know my full thoughts on these books. Please go check out my recent reads video. But the first book I read for that recent reads video is The Longing of Lone Wolves by Lana Pecherczyk. It's a fantasy romance. The series is
I read this book because of Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life and Joe from Not So Average Joe.
I gave the first book, Longing of Lone Wolves, 5 stars. The main characters for that are their names are Clark and Rush. Clark is a series, and Clark is a seer, and Rush is a fae, hence the name Fae Guardians. I read the next book in that series for my recent reads also, and that is called Solace of Sharp Claws, and that is about Laurel, Clark's best friend, and Thorn, Rush's son. Laurel has fire magic. The next book I read for the recent reads video is Where the Mountains Meet the Sea. I read this book because of McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay. It is about Little Min and Luna. I warn you, this book is not a romance. It has romantic elements, but it is not a romance. If you want to know more about this book, please go watch my recent reads video. But I was bawling. I cried so much. I am still not over Roman and Luna, so if you want to know my full thoughts on that book, please check out my recent reads video. And the next book I read is The Wrong Bride by Katharina Maura. It is a marriage of convenience. No, it is an arranged marriage, sister fiance book, and it is about Raven and Aries. Raven's sister, who was supposed to marry Aries because they were in an arranged marriage, but Raven's sister runs away So Aries has to marry Raven instead. So if you want to know, again, if you want to know my full thoughts, please go check out that video. I gave this book 4 stars. I gave Where the Mountains Meet the Sea 5 stars. The next book I read is the Shield and the Thistle. I gave this book 4 stars. It is a time-traveling romance where the heroine Maggie gets sent back to 1858. It's Outlander-esque. So please go check out my recent reads video if you want to know more about these books. The next book I read for the month of the end of October is called Forever After All, also by Katrina Maura. I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. It's going to be my favorite of the year. And in this book we follow Elena and Dante. No, not Dante. Elena and Alexander. I'm thinking about the wrong book. So, in this story, we follow Elena, who is taking care of her mother because her mother is in a coma, but she's the only person who believes she'll wake up, and she's the only person who takes care of her because her father, who's rich, and her brother disowned her. So Elena is the only one left who cares about her mother. And the hospital says, you know, we're going to have to take her off life support because you can't pay for her care anymore. So Elena will do anything to save her mother, though she decides to work at this gentleman's club so she can make a lot of money to pay for her mother's care. And when she gets there, she meets her best friend's older brother. Her best friend's older brother is Alexander. Her best friend's name is Lucian. And he stops her. Like, no, you're not going to sell your body. Instead of doing all that to help your mom, have an arranged marriage with me.
Marriage of convenience. It's a marriage of convenience, not an arranged marriage.
Strangers. You can basically sell it to me. We can have an arranged marriage. I'll pay for your mother's care. He only asked initially, Alexander only asked Elena because her older brother stole his fiancée, so it's a bit of a revenge for Alexander's sake. But he also needs Elena to marry him so he can inherit his grandfather's company. He tells Elena that it will strictly be a marriage of convenience. There'll be no love involved because Alexander has been burned by love many times. His mother was cheated on as a child. His fiance cheated on him with Elena's older brother. But Alex can't help but fall in love with Elena because of her personality and the way she cares for her mother. Really touched his heart. And I loved it. The romance was so sweet and adorable. The jealousy scenes that Alexander had was so epic. He's even jealous about Elena's friendship with his brother. It was so good. It's one of my favorites of the year. Another great recommendation from Cheyenne, that tall book girl. Next, I read You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince. And it is about Matthew Prince, who's from a rich family, but he goes too far when he uses his family's money to purchase a private island. And his parents are like, you know what, you're going to your grandparents' house to really think about your excessive compulsive behavior and why buying a private island was not a good idea. So, if you've seen the movie, if you've seen the show Schitt's Creek, it's kind of like that. Matthew gets to his grandparents' house, and there he meets Hector. And Hector and Matthew do not get along because they think they're polar opposites. But when there's the town is having a problem putting on their annual town fundraiser, and Matthew takes it upon himself to plan the whole thing because he thinks if he does a good job planning this fundraiser, his parents will take him back early and see that he repented on his actions. And so Matthew volunteers to run the whole thing, and Hector agrees to help Matthew. And while planning this event, they grow closer. It's an romance. I give it 3 stars because I think the middle kind of dragged on. The next book I read is Faith in the Dead End Devils by Kathryn Moon. It's her last book in her Omegaverse series for now. And the story is about when the Dead End Devils MC goes to a rival gang and are expecting to find drugs, but when they open the container, they see a feral female Omega instead, and the one who opens the container is the alpha. I think he's a who is one of the alphas in the pack, and he has experience with feral omegas, and the omega bites him, so he has no choice but to take him back to the MC club, and slowly but surely he learns the feral omega's name is Faith, and they form a relationship. They are bonded, and slowly but surely Faith comes out of her shell, and she not only does she bond with the alpha, kind of like a doctor, he bonds with her, she bonds with him, but she also bonds with the beta in the pack and the pack leader. I think his name is, I don't remember the guy's name. She also bonds with the beta and the MC president and one more alpha. It's their story. It's a wide choose, and they have to decide whether to give Faith the pack that she's always wanted and give her the protection that she needs, and dismantle the MC club, or have Faith find another pack. The next couple books is novellas, and I talk about them in my novella recommendation video. The first book I read is Fire and Ash by Cate. It is an MM student professor romance. I give that book 3 stars. The next book I read for the recommendation video is Second Semester by QB Tyler. I give that book 3 stars also. It is another professor and student romance. Their names are Skylar and Aiden. The next book is Second Semester by QB Tyler. It is a dad's best friend romance. It is about Skylar's sister and the dad's best friend. I give that novella 4 stars. I really felt their connection. Again, if you want to know my full thoughts on these novellas, please go check out my novella recommendation video, link down below in the description. The next book I read is Muscles and Monsters by Ashley Bennett, and it is about a baker and a wolf shifter, and I gave this book 4 or 5 stars. Then another book I read is Muscles and Triathlons. The next book in the Ashley Bennett series, I think it's called Leviathan Fitness, but it's an MM monster romance. It's about the heroine's brother and a kraken. It's an MM romance. I gave this book 3 stars. The next book I read is called Fire in His Blood, and that is by Zoey, Draven, and it is the marriage of convenience. The girl's family is in so much debt, and the person who agrees to pay off her family's debt is an half alien, half vampire guy. And he's like, I will pay off your family's debt if you agree to marry me. And she said yes to help her family. But what they don't expect is that when he bites her, because he is a vampire alien, that they are blood mates and that they feel mutual pleasure every time he bites her. So it's a slow burn marriage of convenience romance. It's an alien romance. Please check this book out. I really liked it. I cannot wait for the audiobook. And the last 3 books I read for the month, I binge read B.K. Borison, the first Lovelight Farm series, the first book is called Lovelight Farms. It follows Stella and Luca. Stella owns a Christmas tree farm, and her business is in trouble, so she enters it in a contest, a social media contest, so it will be featured on TV. But in her application, she says she has a boyfriend when she doesn't, so she asks her best friend Luke to pretend to be her fake boyfriend. And what they don't realize about each other is that Luke and Stella have been pining for each other for 10 years. It's a French to lovers romance. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. The next book I read in that series is called In the Weeds. In the Weeds follows Evelyn, the social media person from the first book, and Beckett, the farmer from Lovelight Farms. And it's a second chance romance because Beckett and Evelyn had a one-night stand, but when Beckett woke up the next morning, she was gone. And Evelyn is not sure she wants to be a social media person anymore, so she goes back to Lovelight Farms just to take a vacation, but there's no rooms left in the neighborhood inn, so Beckett offers her a place to stay with an extra room in his house. So it's their romance. It was so good. Beckett is so swoony. I gave it 5 stars. And the last book I read for November is called Mixed Signals. The last book in Lovelight Farm. It is about Layla and Caleb. Caleb saves Layla from a disastrous blind date, and Caleb has a proposition for Layla that I'll show you what a good date looks like for a month, and you tell me why women are so quick to break up with me. So when they will help each other figuring out why their dating styles are wrong. But But what Layla doesn't know is that Caleb has a secret crush on her. I love this book so much. I give this book 5 stars. All the books in BK Borison series are cinnamon roll heroes. I binge read them. They are so good. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I also read Next of Kin by bonam-young, and I read that book because of Caitlin from the Love Librarian, and it follows Hannah, and it follows Warren and Chloe. Warren and Chloe get custody of their prospective siblings, and the government puts them in this program called Team Up, and that's where they pair guardianship parents that don't have the means together in one apartment. Because Chloe had the space for her sister, but she doesn't have the financial means to take care of her, and Warren had is financially stable, but he doesn't have the space to take care of his younger half brother who's 15, and it's a Grumpy Sunshine Forced Proximity. I gave it 5 stars. Warren and Chloe start off in the wrong foot because Warren makes assumptions about Chloe that are not true, but she eventually wins him over. She treats his younger brother, because his younger brother is deaf, so there is disability rep. I give this book 5 stars. It was really sweet. Grumpy Sunshine. I will also read the next book in this series this month also. Those are all the books I read in November. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot to me. Please leave a comment down below in the description if you have read any of these books. I would really love to know. And what was your favorite read in the month of November? I'll see you Monday. Bye.